Hello everyone and welcome back to my book review where I give unhinged, spoiler-free recaps of books that I've recently or not so recently read. And today we are going to be talking about a book that I found boring, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This book is about a lawyer who is friends with Dr. Jekyll and another doctor, and he's trying to figure out what's going on with his friends. Why aren't they speaking to each other? Why is Dr. Jekyll all of a sudden acting strange and being aloof and not hanging out with him anymore? And he gets to the bottom of it by the end of the book. It felt like a long ride, which is so funny because this is a short book. I haven't really complained about books on my book review yet, so this is going to be interesting. Let me get my complaints out. I must say, and if you're not familiar with the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde trope, I would say this. You don't have to read this book. You can instead watch Monster High in order to understand what the trope is. The reasons why I didn't like this book was because I didn't understand why it was from the perspective of this lawyer. I think I would have enjoyed it more if it was from the perspective of Dr. Jekyll, sort of like what Mary Shelley did in Frankenstein, where, yeah, we can start off with some random person, but then we go back to how this all began with the person who is doing the stuff, with the scientist. I think that would have been nice. That didn't happen. That wasn't what happened in the book. I also didn't like the book, because I did not like the way they were describing Mr. Hyde. Everything about that felt icky. And I get it, he's supposed to be this nasty, evil version of humanity, but I feel like there's a less disgusting way to describe him. And I also didn't like the book because I found it boring. I'm gonna be so real with you. I was reading through it and I thought, I really don't care anymore. I just didn't care. Didn't care what happened because I know what the trope is. We were doing so much that wasn't the trope, and we weren't talking about what the trope was until the very end of the book, and I'm just like, why are we going through all of this chitter chat about nonsense and about legality when we could be exploring this very cool trope? If you like the book, I'm proud of you, and you know what, you're one of the stronger soldiers. I'm not a strong soldier. Yeah, so I found it to be very boring. For next time, we are going to talk about a book written by a recent Nobel Peace Prize winner. The book has so many trigger warnings. Know that. Going into it, know that. It has so many trigger warnings. It's just full of but it's great, and it really got me thinking about how, yeah, sometimes we do need to just, like, become a tree. Yeah. Okay. I will see you next time. Bye! Hello everyone, and welcome back to my book review where I give unhinged, spoiler-free recaps of books that I've recently or not so recently read. And today, we are talking about The Vegetarian by Hong Kong. Boom boom! This book is about a woman from South Korea, and one day she decides that she's going to become vegetarian, and that upsets her husband, her family, her friends, and even strangers, and it does not go well for her. And the only one who understands is really me, I feel. I feel that I'm the only one who understands her, like, who truly gets her. The author of the book recently won a Nobel Peace Prize, and she deserves that. I haven't read any of her other books, but this book made me go, wow, oh my gosh. This book was not the catalyst for me becoming vegan, but this book did make me think about what it would be like if humans were actually trees. What if we were trees? You know? It's so good. And if you're going to read this book, please look up the trigger warnings for this book. This is such an incredible book. Oh, she understands. She gets it. We're supposed to be one with nature. She was doing sort of the extreme version of that, which is, what if we, dust to dust, earth to earth, At its core, this book is about power and balance, I would say. This book also has a lot of stuff and a lot of commentary on gender, misogyny specifically, familial power structures, and how parents seem like, I know what's best for you, and you need to do this, and how you might be saying something, no one's listening. And also, in the book, she meets this man, and I knew that he was bad from the jump. He did a bad thing to our female main lead, and that hurt me when I read it. It also shows that even when someone claims to be helpful, especially when men claim to be helpful, you have to take that with a grain of salt, because it could just be a trap, and it could actually be a way for someone to abuse you. This is an amazing book, and I'm not doing it justice in my commentary of it, I don't think, because there's so many other people who are great with social commentary and talking about all the social commentary, but I didn't read this book for the social commentary. I read it because I thought, The Vegetarian, that seems kind of cool. I'm sort of trying to think about dabbling with that. And then I read it and I realized, no, this is less about food than I thought it was. I loved the idea that we should all become trees. I have a personal belief that once I cease to exist, I would like to be planted as a southern magnolia tree, sort of like the mom from the Bratz Fashion Pixies movie. Yeah. I would really suggest reading this book if you want to get into the spooky, scary vibes of Halloween, but also if you are okay with sort of allowing yourself to be traumatized for a little bit. So, for next time, we are going to be talking about a graphic novel by an artist whom I greatly admire, and I saw his work and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so gorgeous. And then I saw that he made a graphic novel and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And then I saw that it wasn't sold anywhere and I thought, what the heck? And so I stalked his page for a while and I finally found the book, and so we'll talk about that. It has no plot, don't worry about it. Yeah, so that's for next time. Okay. Bye. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my book review, where I give unhinged, spoiler-free recaps of books that I've recently or not so recently read. And today we are talking about a gorgeous book, and that book is Gleem by Freddie Carrasco. Let me also show you the other cover. Bam. 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 That might have been too fast. Sorry. This book is set in 3 short stories, starting off with Born Again, and that is about a little boy who takes some pills at church and then has an experience. The second story is called Swing, and that is about a group of kids who are trying to fix their robot friend. And the final story is called Hard Body, which is about going to a club, going to a rave, and the fun that is. That's how I imagine some of the music was in that club. This is such a beautifully written book. I think there's almost no text. It's mostly vibes. If you are familiar with Children of the Sea, that movie, it has a similar vibe. going on. It's just images and thoughts and feelings in a book. I first found Freddie Carrasco on Instagram because I love looking at artists on Instagram, and I saw his art and I was like, this is so freaking gorgeous. Oh my gosh. And then I went to his webpage and I saw that he wrote a freaking graphic novel, and I thought, oh my gosh, let me get it. And then it took me several months to get this book because everywhere that I was looking, it was sold out and it was available nowhere. So I don't know if you can actually get this book, but for the moment, just live through me. And ideally, you will be able to get this book one day. I believe in you. I believe in you. This book isn't technically connected, right? So the short stories are not technically connected to one another. It's not necessarily about one child growing up into adulthood. However, when I read it, I thought, oh, it's about a child growing into adulthood, and we're seeing him at different phases. That's not necessarily true, but you can interpret it how you want to interpret it. I would recommend reading this book if you like Afrofuturism, if you like Afro-surrealism, if you like good art, if you like supporting Black people. Freddie Carrasco is Black. I love consuming media that doesn't necessarily have plot because I love just vibing out. I think that life is about vibes. I don't think that things are always one-to-one, A to B. And so sometimes things just happen. And you just live in the moment of things happening. And that's exactly what this book is. I love it. It's amazing. For next time, we're going to talk about sort of another book that's just about vibes. What are the vibes? Rancid at times. Not saying that the book is bad, it's just a reflection of the world, which the world isn't great. The book is by an incredible Black author. She's written so many amazing books, and I've read two, and I thought, wow, we might just have to stop at these two because they felt too real. But that's for next time. So I'll see you then. Bye.